Picture this. You've just woken up on a crashed train, only saved from the wreckage by your friend Alex, who you've been with for the last day or so. Your mission to destroy the invading aliens' primary method of reaching your universe has been a wild success, but you soon learn that there's a bit more work to be done.
What you're seeing is the infancy of a super portal. If it attains full strength,
it'll be the 7-hour war all over again. Except this time we won't last 7 minutes.
My God.
Before that, though, you'll have to embark on a journey to reach your allies deep in the woods. Simple enough, you think, even if you can't quite shake the feeling that something's watching you. You and Alex are stopped by a gate, and you can see the switch to open it in a nearby building. She decides to keep watch as you head inside and open it up. Then, this happens.
Oh my God.
Hunters. People don't talk about these guys a lot, because they're only featured in episode 2. But today, we're finally giving them their due, because these guys are by far the best enemies in Half-Life, and possibly the best in any first-person shooter. Big claim, right? I know, that's why you'll watch the rest of the video and also hit like and subscribe, but more importantly, I can prove it! So let's get started with the basics. Hunters are combined synths, some horrible combination of an alien organism from another world and technology, much like most of the enemies we fight throughout this story arc. They first appear briefly in silhouette through Mossman's message in episode 1, then play a central role in episode 2 because they do this. And then you're fighting them for the latter half of the game. In this first area especially, they sort of stalk Gordon and Alex in the background, making these horrible noises, and if you look in the right spots, you can actually catch them watching you. The attack nearly kills Alex, which does a lot to make them feel threatening later on, and this is the first time we get a decent look at them. The design is one of the best in the series. They remind me a lot of the AT-STs from Star Wars, small legs attached to a larger head, meant for traversing the forests. Before episode 2 released, they were called mini-striders in the files for episode 1 due to their 3 legs, and the Prima Guide says they're related to regular striders, but I doubt it. The way Valve integrated the mechanical parts into the Hunter's design is pretty interesting. For most creatures it's clear what's artificial and what's organic, but here it all blends together so seamlessly. At first glance, the big blue spots here seem like eyes, but this is where they fire their projectiles from. The real ones are a set of compound eyes down here, much harder to see. The blue stuff covering their bodies seems to be armor, but maybe it's just some kind of natural exoskeleton. Oh, and then there's the sound design. The creature's strange mechanical squeals and shouts, and the wailing they do when you finally take one down. But honestly, they could have put a log of shit on 3 sticks, and this would still be the best thing in the series. You wanna know why? Because of this. Honestly, when I started making this video, I thought I was being hyperbolic. I thought there's no way fighting these things could be anywhere near as fun as I remember. And it wasn't. It was so much better. See, the AI in all of the Source Engine Half-Life games is not a lot of fun to fight against. Half-Life 2 survives on its variety, its immersion, and its set pieces. It's so good at this constant feeling of progression and escalation with its almost immaculate pacing that when you're just shooting down enemies who walk toward you down a big hallway, you hardly even notice how stupid they are. Their best encounters are the heavily scripted ones, but those can never be as fun on replay as they were the first time. There wasn't a good, consistently fun combat loop for any of the Combine enemies in these games until now. They only have a few attacks, a dainty little slap, their flechette projectiles, and they can just run the fuck into you if they want to. But these 3, well, mostly just the last 2 moves, finally deliver on the main promise of the Source Engine, physics-based combat. Seriously, why the hell did it take this long for them to put a projectile-focused enemy into one of these games? Your best weapon against the hunters for most of the episode is the gravity gun, grabbing objects to use as shields at mid-range and throwing their flechettes back at them for added damage. You have to move constantly, dodging and ducking and weaving past them while trying to bait their attacks, on the offense and defense at the same time. It's the closest a Source Half-Life game has gotten to the soldier and alien grunt combat from the first game, and while physics objects are encouraged, it's not too hard to take them down with regular guns as well. Later in the game, you can put them down with a few revolver shots or the alt-fire on the pulse rifle. You can do this too. Yeah, not so fun when you're the one getting slammed into, is it? And all this is just the basics, just 1v1, but hunters don't always come as individuals. Sometimes you'll be fighting 2 or 3 at once, and their behavior will change. Different ones take turns lunging at you or staying back and shooting, like a pack of wolves hunting deer. Then on top of all of this, the 3 main hunter encounters you deal with during the game are just teaching you how to approach the final battle, because the Striders are basically just a ticking clock element, where you have to throw a device and shoot it to blow them up before they reach a building. Fighting the hunters that accompany them becomes the real task. You have to find ways to take them down as efficiently and quickly as possible, or just keep tossing balls at the Strider and hope the hunters miss them before you can detonate them. This entire battle is the peak of Half-Life 2's design, incorporating every fancy piece of technology the Source engine is capable of in an exhilarating and challenging finale, and it wouldn't be possible without the hunters. So how did Valve achieve this? What did the design process look like? I guess it's time for a... The Hunters were created to complement the more open setting of Episode 2, envisioned as a versatile creature that could run through the forest or stalk people indoors from the beginning. While I can't find a source clearly stating that they were meant to be a play on the Striders and accompany them in battle, that's pretty clearly what they were going for. They talk about their introduction and how important it was to nail that in the commentary.
From the beginning of Episode 2's design, we intended for Alex to be
Let
gravely...
us hurry, Freeman. Help awaits us in the mines.
From the beginning of Episode 2's design, we intended for Alex to be gravely injured and fall into a coma. However, the timing and nature of her injury changed dramatically. In the earliest version, the player woke to find Alex already unconscious. We wanted the player to be unsure what to do, but instead this turned out to be merely confusing. In the next iteration, Alex balanced precariously in the train car near the player, only to slip and fall as the train shifted. This was unsatisfying because we have painted Alex as tough and agile. Having her injured in a fall seemed arbitrary and impersonal. We kept trying to add a stronger emotional aspect to her injury, something that would give rise to anger and fear. Around this time, the hunters were coming online, and we were having trouble giving them a really powerful introductory moment. Solving both problems at the same time, we introduced the hunters as the cause of Alex's injury.
I genuinely don't understand how Valve keeps doing it. All these decisions sound haphazard and coincidental when read out like this, but they keep forming these games that perfectly weave the story and gameplay together. Case in point, early versions of the Hunter didn't even have their flechettes, firing a basic hit scan attack instead. We don't quite know if the flechettes were always intended or a later addition, but they just feel incomplete without them. Fighting these early Hunters is possible because they leaked in Episode 1's initial release. You could just spawn them in like any other enemy with the console, and the concept art doesn't reveal many other differences. A few sketches show more rounded designs, some lean a bit closer to the Strider's look, but for the most part it seems to have been worked out pretty quickly. The Hunter's final appearance took a lot of elements from insects and other arthropods, taking the hard shell and deep blue color from tiger beetles, their legs resemble the limbs used for grabbing on a praying mantis, and a few pieces of art show these flaps on the side where it would have shot out the flechettes, based on appendages mantis shrimps used to threaten their foes.
The mantis unloads the ace up his sleeve. Hammer claws. For a moment, the surrounding water reaches the temperature of the surface of the sun.
Valve pulled a classic id Software move and made a full clay model of the Hunter. We only have this low-res image included in the Prima guide to go off of, so it's unknown if they actually scanned this in or if it was just something Ted Backman did for fun. Yeah, he's behind the Hunters. It's kinda hard to tell without all the pink flesh and sexual implications. When designing their AI, Valve used this arena in the rocket silo to test them. They wanted to make players feel vulnerable at all times, always stalked and watched by the Hunters, even when hiding. At some point, they tried making Hunters invulnerable to anything but physics objects, but that didn't quite quite pan out. They ended up with a middle ground where tossing stuff at them is more effective than most guns, but the shotgun will still do the trick if you need it.
God, these hunters are tough.
And that's about it for beta content, but to wrap up, I want to talk about a few fan projects that include the hunters. First up is Entropy Zero, which uses a powered-up hunter as a sort of mini-boss toward the end of the game. You play as a Metro Cop in this mod, and I'm not sure why exactly you're fighting this thing, but it's a good fight. I love when games do this sort of thing, putting a relatively small enemy at the forefront as a larger threat to a less powerful character. Next up is an SFM short that came out while I was working on this, Blue Eyes by the Perry God. It's a 1-minute video here on YouTube about a hunter stalking these two guys. Go check it out. In fact, check out all their Source 2 filmmaker work. It's truly amazing stuff. And that's about it. Yeah, a bit shorter than normal, but that's fine. For most of these, I got to talk about the subject's appearance in at least 3 games, and the times they almost made it into another 2. Hunters are only in 1 game, and a short one at that. Hopefully they'll pop up again. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comments, or my Discord server linked below. And as always,
I will see you up ahead.